I've been doing so much coloring this year and loving every single second of it. So today I thought I would share with you 5 coloring hacks using my Arrtx acrylic brush markers so that we can take our coloring to the next level. Let's get started. So I chose this page from my coloring book because I thought I could show you all of the hacks on this one. But actually, we're going to color 2 pages today because after doing the first 5, I realized there's an extra 6th hack that you can create using these Arrtx acrylic brush markers that I wanted to share with you today. The first thing I'm going to do to prepare for these ideas is I'm going to start by covering the line work of the little floaty the teddy bear is on. So I'm just going to go over it with white and let that dry as I start the first coloring technique on the bunny. You are going to see how easy it is to make him look fluffy and furry with these markers. I start by painting or coloring. I never know what word to use with paint markers. Adding the darker areas of my bunny. At first, I'm just getting some color down, but I'm not using consistent strokes or creating solid areas. I'm filling the spaces with little lines and dots. Especially on the edges, I let it be super irregular, taking advantage of the super soft brush nib on these markers that allows me to create different types of strokes, thin and wide. Then I start layering with a lighter color. I'm using 3 colors for the fur, a dark, a medium, and a lighter tone. And then I'll use white for highlights. Again, with the midtone, I'm using loose brush strokes and using the different lines to create an effect instead of covering it whole. I'm literally creating little strands of hair all over the character. These markers are perfect for this. I don't know why I wasn't using these markers for coloring my book. They are perfect for it. They don't bleed through, you can make mistakes and cover them and get so many different types of results. I honestly got the idea to use them here from my friend Cassie. She used this same set of markers for coloring on my book on this amazing video she created. Not only did she color, but she also brought one of my pages to life by making it 3D. You have to check that video out. I'll link it in the description. But back to my coloring, as I was finishing the body, I even used the lightest of my markers to go over the black lines from the drawing so the bunny looks even fuzzier. When I was happy with how the fur was looking, I used the white to add a few strands on top for highlights. Follow the same process for the ears. Apply the first color unevenly and then just layer the others with lines and dots, creating the illusion of fur and playing with it until I got it to look okay. When it was all done, I decided I wanted to change the bunny a little bit by giving him more of a snout. So using the same technique, I added darker and lighter lines around an oval to make it look dimensional. I did cover the line work for his eye and nose with paint, but I will easily fix that at the end. The fuzzy bunny is done. So for now, let's move to our second coloring hack using paint markers and let's do some blending. I'm moving on to the paper boat. I could have done it with white and beige to make it look more like paper, but I chose to make it all brighter and colorful using blue. As you'll see, it is easy to make it look like a dimensional object by blending colors. To mix the colors as I work, I don't really need to do much. As I layer them in continuous strokes, they blend, just like a brush with paint. Here I'll add white to create a highlight so the paper fold is more evident, and you'll see how I blend it as I lay it on top. Now I'm adding a darker color, and I even use my finger to blend just like I usually do when I paint on canvas. So professional. To finish the paper boat, I'm going over the edges with white so that the contrast with the blue makes it look more like the folds of the paper. And that is it for blending. And now we're moving for the third technique, painting water. The first thing I do is cover all of the water with the dark color. I'm using my darkest blue. Once that is done, I grab a marker in a lighter shade, I chose a teal, and I start drawing ovals on top of the water. These are super irregular, easy to draw ovals. You don't have to worry about precision. Just try to make them narrower towards the back and wider to the front. When that is done and dry, I grab a third even lighter color. This is a super light teal, and I draw more ovals on top. You just have to make them smaller and make sure they intersect with the first layer of ovals and not land directly on top. To finish, I take my white marker and paint some lines as highlights in the places where the water would be higher, like the top of the waves. And that's it, done! So for our fourth technique, we are going for an impressionist sky, very much like Van Gogh's famous painting, La Nuit Étoilée. I really love these markers for this because they give you the ability to do very painterly techniques like this. When I first tried these markers out, that was the first thing I loved about them. It's like having 60 loaded brushes ready to go. I even created a little painting using them like this because it was so satisfying to do. The fact that you don't need to shake them or pump them or anything makes them so easy to use and so easy for us to switch colors, so you can really easily achieve that layered impressionist look on any surface. So because my illustration has concentric circles, I started the first circle with a darker mix of colors and went lighter as I approached the center where the moon is, since that would be the natural brightest part because of the light reflecting off it. What I did is I used a variety of dark purples and blue and black, and I got rid of the darkest color and added a lighter color as I moved in the circle, creating a gradient. Then I gradually replaced the purples with pinks and then with yellow. This was very fun to do. It looks like it's time consuming, but it's not really, because it's just about making little marks. And like I said before, the fact that you don't have to shake the markers or prepare them in any way before each stroke makes it super easy. You can keep all of the markers on one hand and just switch them up as you paint with the other. It's really fast. You can also go back to the areas that you don't like as much and add more strokes, just like I did here. It didn't seem like it was blending, so I just added a few more lighter purple lines on top to make everything blend better. To me personally, it's much easier to color with these because it feels more familiar, since I feel I'm better with paintbrushes and acrylic paint than any other media. Also, you can always fix mistakes. You can't really fix mistakes with alcohol markers. That's it for our impressionist sky, but before moving to the fifth hack, let's color some of the details like the telescope, the rope, and the teddy bear. I need the teddy bear to be painted so we can make his floaty look translucent. Once I finish coloring the bear, I just expand the drawing onto the floaty, just completing the bear's body as if it would look if the floaty wasn't there. Then I paint the body too, and to make it look like it's behind the clear plastic, I use some white on top and blend it a bit with the brown, making the shapes a little bit irregular. I want the floaty to look like it's clear purple plastic, so I'm adding a little bit of color to the edges, which is where you would see most of the color on a transparent inflatable. If you struggle with this, you can always get a reference picture of the real object you're coloring to get an idea of how the colors and highlights would look like, and then just copy that. Again, thinking on how a transparent floaty looks, I need a little bit more of a darker purple in the edges, and you can see now it gives the illusion of being transparent. I'm also adding the darker blue to the bottom of it, so I would get the look of the shadow of the floaty on the water. Before wrapping this page up, I went back with my white marker to add some more highlights where I felt I needed them. I added more little lines for fur on the outlines, and I used my black liner to redraw the details on the teddy bear and on the bunny. I also used it to draw a couple of mini curved lines to make the fur look fuzzier. And this is the final page. I absolutely love it. I think it looks so painterly and elevated. And like I said, we used all 5 techniques on this one: fur, blending, water, impressionism, and transparency. So cool. So let's move to a different page so I can show you another cool thing you can do when coloring with these markers. Because the background area of this page is so large and I want it to be a solid dark color, I am going to get my Arrtx alcohol markers to color the background. And since I have them out, I really wanted to show you how I use both of the sets while I'm working. I'm especially obsessed with the box of the alcohol markers. It's amazing. You open it and then flip back the lid, and it works as a support for the whole box. Then each marker has its perfect little slot, so it doesn't matter which one you take out, they won't move, and you can keep them neatly and perfectly understand as you work. I love this built-in stand. Love it. Obsessed with it. Similar thing with the acrylic markers. Each one has its own little space. I like to keep this one tilted too, so I usually place an object underneath to keep the box at an angle, making it super easy for me to find the colors I want to get. Okay, so I'm gonna start painting this background with my alcohol marker, like I said, because it's such a large area. This just makes more sense. It's gonna be way faster, and yeah, that only took a minute. So after the background was done, I used a darker marker to add some shadows and give that very simple and solid background some depth. That's it for the alcohol markers, and we're back to our acrylic brush paint markers, and I'm painting all of my characters with them. This time I'm going for a flat look, so I just color everything in, and the coverage is fast and excellent. Very satisfying. For the rainbow, I chose to use only cool colors, going from purple to teal. Pretty straightforward, and it looks amazing. Now we are going to use our hack for the headphones by making them look glittery. To achieve this, I first paint them with a solid color. I chose pink because I'm doing pink glitter. Once everything is pink, I grab a black marker and start making little dots all over the areas of the headphones that would be darker or have shadows on. After I had enough black dots, I created more dots with a maroon marker. Then I add more dots with a pink marker that was a shade darker than the whole background. You can't really see it as I put it down, but it did dry a tad darker. Then I add some red dots because if you really look at hot pink glitter, it has a hint of red on it. Again, here you can get a zoomed in picture of glitter from the internet to figure out which colors to use for your dots. Finally, after the red, I moved to the lighter colors using light pink and then white. You just layer a bunch of dots, keeping in mind to have the lighter dots grouping where the highlights would be. I finished my dots, and then I used my Arrtx Sim Tap white marker on top because I wanted to get sharper little circles, and to do that easily I wanted that bullet nib. I let everything dry completely, and for the final touch I grabbed my white gel pen and drew some lines like tiny starbursts around some of the white dots to make them look like they were shining. And that's it! As I zoom out, you can see this fun little effect that you can add to areas of your coloring pages just to take them to the next level. Cute, right? I am so grateful for Arrtx for sponsoring this video so I could share with you these 6 coloring techniques to take your pages to the next level. I hope you enjoyed this video and that I'll see you next Friday for a brand new one. Until then, have the most wonderful day. Bye!